Hello and welcome to the Adamcast. This is episode 151, first broadcast on the 3rd of July 2014. And on this week's show, we talk about getting the coach down to London, playing ping pong, walking into head offices by accident, and the dance you have to do inside work canteens. This is the Adamcast.
Welcome to the Adamcast. Here is your host, Adam Bates.
Hello and welcome to the Adamcast. This is our weekly get-together where we get together once a week to talk about things going on and in and around our lives. My name is Adam, the proprietor of this podcast, so very welcome along to you. If it's the first show you've ever listened to / watched, we're still the YouTubing it, and if you've listened plenty of times, well, welcome back. Hope you're okay. So we just sort of basically chat about things that have been going on in the week. It is a free podcast available on iTunes. So just subscribe. Just go to itunes.theadamcast.co.uk. If you subscribe, you'll get the show as soon as it is published, downloaded into your web space, onto your device, or however you listen. And if you're on Android, you can get it as well through the Stitcher radio app as well, which I strongly suggest, because you can get 1,000,001 other shows as well. So feeling a bit tired this week, and I know I say that a lot, and I don't want to be one of those people who moan they're tired all the time, but we went down to London over the weekend, and we thought it would be a really good idea to get like a really early bus, so we got the coach down because it's cheap, and got the 6 o'clock bus in the morning, thinking, well, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, gets in at 10, but it'll be quiet, it'll be dead, there will be no one on it. It was absolutely rammed, there wasn't a spare seat on, so we luckily got a seat together, but the toilet was broken, so we had to spend like 4 hours with our legs crossed, and the coaches they're quite smooth rides, but they're not like the carefreest, non-bumpsicle way of transporting yourself ever. So it was horrible, really, because we just like every time there was a bump or anything, we just definitely needed the toilet. But we got over that, and it was okay. We went down because it was our friend Howard's 30th birthday. So hello, Howard, if you are listening to this. It was good. So what else happened? What did we do? I'm just trying to think. Because it was such an early bus, everyone was like falling asleep. So for the first 2 hours of the 4-hour coach trip, everyone was just snoring, and it was quite peaceful. It was quite serene because everyone was just in their own world. There was a snorer, which I think is sort of guaranteed when you have a group of people together. He was proper snoring. I was adopting the sort of head back, eyes closed, mouth open look, to which my fiance took great pleasure in taking a few photos, and then showing me after, going, I definitely didn't take a photo, but look at this. And then I managed to at one point wake myself up by making a weird noise. It was like a noise, and I realised that I'd been asleep with my mouth open, which would have been embarrassing normally, but when everyone else was doing it, it just felt like it was the cool thing to do. It makes you think of how people can survive. On that old programme, Coach Trip. What was the name of the guy that used to present it? And they used to go around with loads of other couples, and then at the end of each day, you'd vote off the couple that no one liked anymore. And it just makes you think that it's quite hard to sit on a coach for a long period of time. You end up getting really, really restless. But it was good. It was worth it. We went down and we played some indoor ping pong. It was in a bar called Ping or Pong or Bounce or something like that, in North London. And I know it was really good. It's they have UV nights there as well, so everything goes UV, and the balls, I imagine that getting a bit futuristic and a bit sort of scary, like your planet's been taken over, and this is the only way of defending it. We went down, we met our friend's Palf down there as well, and as we were going to the ping pong, he decided he needed to get some cigarettes, so he saw a shop for Sainsbury's, a sign for Sainsbury's, so he crossed the road over, went into the shop, and there was just it was like a revolving door, walked in, and there was just a security guard there, and taken back, it was like, is there not Sainsbury's in here? And he was like, yeah, it's Sainsbury's in here, and then my mate was looking around, and then he realised that he'd actually just walked straight into the head office. So I wanted to know, it's a little bit abstract this week, but have you ever walked into the head office, or have you ever walked into somewhere or a place, or misinterpreted something and got it completely wrong? So a time that you've walked in something expecting something, and it's just the complete opposite place. So my mate walking into Sainsbury's head office thinking it was the store, stuff like that basically. I don't know how he did it though. Not really was paying next to no attention whatsoever. It's occurred to me this week as well that people haven't heard of the technology called in-ear headphones. I don't like to have a big moan, but people who just listen to music on old old headphones that you can hear all the way through. It's like you can get nice in-ear ones with a bit of bass and everything. But it seems that has passed some people by. I'm feeling a bit like what do you call it? Floaty, not floaty, like little bursts of energy. Because I'm on earlies this week, which means getting up like an hour earlier, which means I get to finish earlier, which is good. But you do the same thing every week, so start at 8 and finish at 4:30 rather than starting at 9. So you get up and it's easy to get into work, easy to get out of work. But the problem is that you can't get out of the sleeping routine of the previous week. So you're supposed to go to bed an hour earlier to sort of compensate it, but you never do. So on a Monday, you get home at like 4:30. You've got loads of energy because you're like, oh, this is brilliant. I've got loads of hours before bed. And then you end up like snookering yourself and knackering yourself out for the rest of the week. So that seems to be what I've done. So I've just got like a big pint of Coke and just feeling a bit like, ooh, stop. So it's going to be one of those shows. I don't think it's going to be a classic, but that doesn't matter. That's okay. What else has been going on? There's not really that much happened this week. It's been a bit of a slow week. I didn't do enough ruddy publicity for last week's show. It was the 150th show last week, and my friend Wilco joined us to do it, which is why we didn't video record it. But it's on the iTunes feed. If you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it, because he is a gentleman, and I think him being on the podcast really, really enhanced it. So if you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it. It's a treat, I promise you. The other thing I was going to talk about this week is we have they call it a hub at work, so there'll be different names about it, but it's basically a kitchen area. So it's got a fridge for milk, it's got like a hot and cold tap, like a boiling hot tap. I suppose you probably have like a kettle in there, in like other places and stuff like that. But it gets really congested at like peak times in the day, obviously when everyone's making their cups of tea and coffee, and you find yourself doing this like weird kind of like kitchen dance where you're trying to avoid people while sort of sidestepping it. Now, I mention all the time that I used to work in bars, but for people who work in bars, they'll recognise this, or even if you're just like if you're a designated driver a lot, or if you don't drink but still go out, is you find that you can zombie walk past people. So when you're walking in a bar and everyone's drunk and they're sort of swaying, you can kind of see where they're swaying and like nip through. You get this like weird sort of sixth sense, like everyone just sort of like slows down. It's kind of like being in the Matrix. So when you work in a bar, when you have to get from one side to the like dance floor to another, you can do it really, really efficiently, and you don't know how you do it. It's just a skill that you develop. I can't remember what I was talking about. What am I talking about? Yeah, so it's the same thing, but when it comes to like these hubs in the kitchen at work, there's so many people in a short space, everyone's going different directions to go to different points within the thing. You end up doing this like weird sort of dancing where you're going round, and I don't really know, that's probably like the best way that I could probably describe that. Yeah, it's just like the weird sort of kitchen dancing that you do. So I was thinking of like other things in life where you would do that, where you have like, you just find yourself like everyone's doing their own thing, but you've got to kind of like weave and fit around everything else. I don't know, it's just something that has pondered me this week. Now it's time for Conversation Corner.
Conversation Corner.
Lovely stuff. A little bit of Charleston there for you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Conversation Corner is the part of the show where I like you to get involved with me. There is a variety of different ways. We're doing lots of stuff on Facebook at the moment. I'm thinking of potentially starting something a bit more daily on it, where we do a bit more newsy stuff. So if you wanted to get involved with that, then you can do it. It's facebook.com/the Adamcast. Also, we are on the Twitter. I don't know why I keep putting the in front of everything. It's really irritating. Yeah, we're also on Twitter at the Adamcast, and the website as well, which is theadamcast.co.uk. So a few things. We're throwing out quite a lot of questions. I feel like we've questioned a lot of things recently, and not necessarily got the answers back. So I'm sort of going back a little bit through the archives to try and pull up some recent things to try and get your input on. So let's have a quick look. Oh yeah, I was talking the other week about lost keys, and how I left my keys in the front door. And John Wilkinson has done exactly the same thing. He said combining the two things, house keys, left them in the front door on the outside. The postman put them back through the morning, through the letterbox the next morning with a note saying, "Forgot something," which you just put was a little bit sarcastic. So I can imagine it was an honest postman there. We had a theft at work today. One of my colleagues, she went to the shop on her lunch and bought some like eggs and just basics, but she left them in the self-scanning place. You know, it says take your bags. She took one of the bags and left the other one, and then when we rang them later on, it turned out that someone had just taken it, which is bad. Like theft of eggs. It sounds like something that happened like back in the 60s or something with rationing. What else have we got going on? What else going on? I was talking about things that you don't do in public, like embarrassing things that you don't do in public. Let's have a quick look. Stuart O'Neill's, but the worst thing to happen in public is when you realise when you're walking in the wrong direction and all of a sudden have to do an about turn. It shouldn't happen to me as much. I can't read today. It happens to me much more than it should do. Yes, I completely agree with this. That's a nightmare. When you're walking and then you realise, oh no, I've gone the wrong way, and like other people are like knocking around. It's almost as bad as when people do the sudden stop. And you know, when they're just walking along and they just stop with no. And if you're like kind of keeping pace, and I don't know about anyone else, if you do like little races in your head, and I'm not talking about like dangerous car races and stuff like that, but when you're walking along and you see someone, you're like, I'm going to overtake you, and you start like just sort of speeding up. You don't want to let them know that you're racing with them, and in their head they're probably thinking, oh, this guy's gonna do me on the inside lane here. But yeah, so you have that sort of like mental, well I do anyway, have this like monologue going in your head, and then you're just trying to get your racing line to overtake someone. They suddenly stop. You like go all about the place. Not good. So I don't know if anyone else races with people just casually on the street. And the last bit of correspondence we've got going on was stuff that your mum believes, which is my favourite. Glenn Lumsden's put, my mum believes that Greece is the greatest place on the planet. Oh, well, it may not be the greatest place, but it is good for Slovakia. I've not pronounced that right, have I? I don't know, I've just embarrassed myself. And Glenn Loveston's put, I don't like to walk backwards in public. I don't know how much scope he has to do that. If you want to get involved and you've got loads of answers you want to just provide to us, then you can do on facebook.com/The Adamcast or Twitter @The Adamcast, and there is a long list of questions on the website as well under the questions section, which is theadamcast.co.uk. If you like that information again read to you by an American man, here it is.
Listen to the Adamcast on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Visit theadamcast.co.uk to find out more.
There you go. Right, well, that's just about it for this week. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you have a fantastic one. I hope you seize the day. Carpe diem. I need to have a little lie down. Thank you very much for listening. I should be back next week for a brand new show. But in the meantime, go on the website, check out Facebook and Twitter and all of that. And from this time until next time, take care. Bye-bye. Oh, no, this is... Oh, God, how long have I had this for? From this time until next time, this has been the Adamcast. Bye-bye.